All right, Weston, getting back into your story here, it kind of brings us right up to the Paris Supercross in 2018 and your crash and injury. So probably, I'm sure you've told this story a million times, but take us through kind of what happened in that race. I watched the video again the other day, just kind of prepping for this, and
yeah,
it's ugly.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of started off, I wasn't even supposed to be in France because we're supposed to be in Japan racing a week before that. It was one of the promoters that was doing it back in the day when they raced in Japan. I don't remember if you ever did that.
Osaka or Fukuoka? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
It was about an hour out of Tokyo or something like that and whatnot. But so I was supposed to do that race. That promoter kept dicking us around, and it just disappeared. And then so then at that point, I didn't want to do anything overseas, just because it was my good year, and I kind of wanted just to still keep focusing on that and have a good off season and not get held up by going overseas and doing races that I don't want to do. So then Pernoid, Eric called me on a Tuesday, and I was just out road biking, and he's like, hey, someone dropped out. I think it was Muskin dropped out. And then he's like, do you want to come race? And I'm like, well, when? He's like, oh, you got to fly out tomorrow. And I'm like, well, I don't have shit ready. The team's in North Carolina. So it ended up happening super quick where we did a deal with me and Hill to go over there. So we just, Travis Souls, my mechanic at the time, he got all the parts ready together. All we did was brought suspension and just hard parts, no motor. So it's kind of everything was super like crazy last minute. And it was like kind of like one of those things where you're just like, you don't want to do it, but it's such good money to go over there and race. It's like you can't.
They always paid good.
Yeah. But so it kind of was a rush job more or less, but that didn't really happen because of the injury. But everything was just always rushed. Get there late, whip the bikes together, show up and race. But I mean, at that point, everything was good. I mean, my speed was good. I think I got second or third the first moto at that night, and then
so it was there were multiple main events. Is that they're still doing it?
Okay, yeah. So I think it was
they've changed their format many a time over the years. I think they just try to keep it fresh, so they keep moving around a little bit. Yeah.
So just going in that first race was good. Second race, obviously right off the start, just kind of same thing, doing good. And then we came around the first turn, and I was inside, and then Ferrandis was outside, and someone was in the lead, and when Ferrandis came out of the turn, he kind of slid out a little bit and shot him back towards me. As I stepped on to the tabletop, he kind of came in and he hit me, and then I was one. So once I high-sided, then I went down and landed right on the landing of a step on, step off. And as I went to get up, it was so quick, I went to roll up and then got landed straight on my face.
So
open part.
Do you remember hitting the ground and then going to kind of get up?
No.
You don't remember
anything? I'm pretty, at this point, I'm I forgot the first race of the day, kind of parts of that. I kind of only thing I remember is probably having lunch after practice.
Is that right?
Day, yeah. So a lot of it was kind of just a blur because I mean, when I got landed on, I was out, and then once I got to the hospital, they put me in an induced coma for 3 or 4 days at that point. So it's kind of just. I mean, dude, I don't remember anything probably for about a week and a half.
Was that right? I was going to say, what were your first things you remember?
Probably not a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, no, it was because it was pretty much just. Once I came out of the coma, then it was just surgery, figuring out what they wanted to do. Then my dad was thinking about having me flown to the States, to a hospital in the States, but they're like, no, it's too bad of an injury. You can't go in all
pressure
like that, the pressures and all that. So, but I'm actually grateful I stayed there because they did an awesome job.
Were you in Paris?
I was in Paris.
Okay.
Yeah. So
was it tough though with the language barrier, or did the doctors mostly speak some English?
No, a couple of the doctors spoke English.
Yeah, I was going to say usually they do, but the nurses and that's where it gets tough.
Yeah, dude, it was because the most of the care was the nurses. We had 2 or 3 nurses on staff, and that was the headache, just trying to figure out what's going on, number one. There was no communication between the nurses and me and then, my dad and Travis at that point in time. So it was such a struggle with figuring out what the hell's going on. Oh, when is he going to go into surgery, or when is it going to happen? So everything was always super delayed. So then Pernoid and I should remember his name.
Javier?
Yeah, something
it's
like
not
that.
Javier.
Xavier.
Yeah, Xavier. Yeah.
I was close.
Yeah. Javier.
I gave the Mexican version of a French name.
Yeah. So
sorry, Xavier.
It's a South American version.
Yeah. So at that point, he ended up having one of his buddies that was bilingual. So he came in and was able to kind of get to the bottom of it and start helping, with the communication and figuring stuff out a little bit more. So that helped out a lot. They were super grateful and helped out a lot. And even Matilda. Musgrave.
Matilda, yeah.
She was helping out and stuff and kind of communicating with some things. So they helped out. So everybody kind of that was over there, that knew me, they kind of pitched in and helped out as much as possible and stuff.
Were you freaked out at all when you came to and like realized you'd been out a week?
Obviously, with being losing consciousness, people probably had to remind you of what happened, right?
Yeah, no, it was one of those things where I was asking the same questions a lot of times, like what happened, what's going on, and
2 minutes later, what happened?
Yeah.
2 minutes later,
I don't think it was that
happened?
bad, but yeah, it was just you're just waking up out of surgeries and you don't know what the hell's going on, like what went on, and it was a struggle, man. I kind of went through a lot of shit over there with stuff, and the worst part was like I had a trach in the whole time, and so what kept happening when I was over there was the trach they put like a liner of like gauze in there to kind of like keep it sealed. Mm-hmm. Well, from being jacked up so bad, I kept getting like super like congested. So then, and I couldn't breathe for shit as it was. So then I'd start coughing and then like take a deep breath, and that gauze would get sucked into my fucking throat. So I couldn't breathe. So I'm sitting there trying to breathe. You can only breathe out of trach. So I'm like trying to find the button to fucking call the nurse. Then they're taking their sweet time. So there was a couple times where I'm like laying in the bed, like I'm going to fucking die from this shit, So it was like a lot of things that kind of went down. There was like, the worst one was I dropped the button and like, and everybody was in the hotel that night.
So you couldn't call someone to pick up the button for you?
No. So I'm just like beating shit around me, hitting stuff, like trying to get attention so I can have someone come in there. So it was a nightmare, dude. Like just so much. Like I remember all the bad shit. Let's just put it that way. And
I may have been in the same hospital. I know I've been to a hospital in France, and nothing against French hospitals, but one, I hate hospitals, and then when you're in a French hospital when everything's different and weird, no one can communicate.
Yeah.
How was your anxiety levels? I remember being in there.
Then.
Were you? I'm sure they had you on meds.
Yeah, I was pretty doped up the whole time. But
as you should.
I remember just pulling stuff off and telling them I'm fucking out of here. And they're like, oh, no. I'm like, I'm out. And I just walked out.
Yeah, I kept doing that.
They were trying to run with me to sign out, and I just kept walking.
Yeah, I know. I kept pulling shit off, like all the sensors, hand sensors, all that stuff. And
that's one way to freak them out, because then all of a sudden it goes, beep.
Yeah.
They come running in.
How long were you in there? So how long were you?
14 days in the ICU, and then I was 5 days in like a lower. Once I got off of everything and unplugged the feeding machine and got off the trach, it was just like kind of. It was still in there, but it wasn't hooked up to a breathing machine and all that stuff. But so I was in that setup for 5 days, but it was crazy because like all they wanted to do is kept pumping me full of shit. It's like they wanted me to stay there, and I'm like, I'm good. Take me off the morphine, because I had where they put that crazy ass morphine set up in your bloodline in your wrist. So then I had that constantly pumping. It was on a button and stuff, but. And they're just like
morphine's
they
good
just
shit,
like
man.
Some of the nurses would come by and just like hit the button, turn on. I'm just like, no, like I don't want this anymore, because if I keep doing this, I ain't gonna leave this damn bed. So at one point, I told my dad, I couldn't talk. I was just writing shit down on a board, and I was like, hey, this like cut everything off, like stop. No meds, no nothing. And then like 2 days later, I was like feeling way better. I was able to get up out of the bed, stand up, start moving. At that point, I was like, I'm done. Get me out of here. Like surgery's done. Like pull the staples out, pull the stitches out. Like get me the hell out of here.
Your mouth was wired shut. Is that why you couldn't talk, or what? Or just
no, because the trach.
Oh.
and my mouth was wired shut for 15, 16 days, and then they took out the wires and all that stuff. But
how did you eat?
Feeding tube, right?
Well, I still had the tube in my nose, but when I was in the ICU for that long, they were just feeding me through the machine through my chest.
Wow.
Yeah, they had like this crazy ass like food machine like this tall, and they put lines like directly into my chest, and it was pumping food in.
What? Into your stomach through your chest?
Yeah, dude, I had like this crazy ass thing in my chest.
Weston's like, I don't know how you're going to fit an in and out double through that little tube right now.
Yeah,
give it a shot.
Yeah, when I got out of there, I was like 180. Like I was just sucked up,
Yeah, you'll lose weight just when you pump some meds and not really eating or moving.
Yeah.
So the X-ray of your face is radical. Like you've got little, plates everywhere. How many fractures do you have in your face?
I'm going to call like 24, because there's 24 plates on my face. So, yeah. So pretty much just, like, long story short is it's called like a Lefort fracture, 1, 2, and 3, where your skull detaches from your lower half, and then your jaw detaches from that. So it's kind of like the worst. I should have been dead at that point. Like what they said, but like I said, I was just thankful that country I was in, they were good at what they did and they got under control fast. Because if I look back now and I'm like, dude, if I was in Germany or Greece or something like that and that shit happened, I don't even know if they'd know what to do. You know what I mean?
Well, I think Germany would be okay. You just offended a few Germans, but I think you'd be okay. But Greece,
But I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was in a hospital in Chemnitz or something like that, and I was like, this place
from a
is
German Supercross?
insane. Yeah, like just blood on the walls, and I'm just like, this place is freaking like World War II, like just nasty shit everywhere. But
they kept the decor from World War II.
yeah, it looked like that. It was dark, but yeah. So it just kind of you look back on things like that, and you're just like makes you think like shit. I don't know if I would want to go there again.
Well, all the fractures you had. And from what I understand, I mean, you were obviously bleeding heavily out of your nose and mouth. Like just the airway issues alone, which is, a first responder's primary concern is airway.
Yeah.
Can he maintain his own airway?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I don't know how you breathe. You kept breathing through all the blood.
Well, no. So at the track, the staff there, which probably another lifesaver too, is they
intubated you.
They shoved that down my throat so I could breathe because I was bleeding out so bad, and that.
That's what I'm saying.
What's it called?
It's called an endotracheal intubation. So you basically take a tube and put it down the trachea.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
And then it inflates so it keeps
so
stomach contents down or keeps air like a seal basically, and you can breathe for them.
Wow.
But with all the blood, like typically the laryngoscopes have a little light and you look and see the cords and pass it through the cords.
Yeah.
But I've never done one of these. They call it a blind insertion where you just open up and you'll look for bubbles that are coming out and you aim for the bubbles.
Yeah.
I mean, if they had missed that or couldn't get that, dude, could have been a different story, man.
And I still watch the video today, and I'm like, I don't know how it happened, but my left inner thigh almost hit my artery, so I almost bled out in my left leg too. So like when I came to it too, I have it looks like a shark bite out of my inner thigh.
From a peg or something, or what?
That's what I'm saying. I can't see on the video what it was. So it's like the most jagged scar. Like I think they sewed it up in the ambulance because they use like freaking fishing string and it's all jagged and crap. Yeah. So it was,
really?
Yeah.
I didn't even hear about that. Wow.
I was going to say at that point they probably was.
Well, kudos to the track crew because truly that could have gone sideways.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm thankful for the the staff that was there that jumped on it that quick and knew what to do.